Welcome into Start, Sit, Different Day. I'm your host, Joe Zollo. It is me this week, joined by two lovely gentlemen, Joel and Nate. If you're new to the show, it is all your Start, Sit questions. There is no show sheet. There is no agenda. The only thing I have for you are injury updates. The rest of the show is dictated by your Start, Sit questions. Let's get into it. Intro really just punches you right in the face, right through the headphones. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. I am Joe, joined by Joel and Nate. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good. I'm wonderful, man. Saturday, we got football tomorrow.
We do have football tomorrow. We have
and today, I mean, do you like college ball?
Yeah. I mean, we have a couple people, some Ducks fans.
Hey!
Some Dogs fans.
I wrote up
Boston
that Ducks
College
game
Eagles
for
fan.
Tom's Guide. Tom's Guide's making me learn about college football now, so like, you guys have to pay attention on Saturdays.
It's a sport where the quarterback is bad for 99% of teams, and you will not have to remember 99.9% of these guys come Sunday because they're all bad. So
do you know why? Joe, do you know why I stopped watching college football?
Because they're bad?
Because 99% of the quarterbacks are bad. Look, I grew up a CU fan, right? So I know college ball. They just have sucked for so long that I kind of just, I don't know. And now they're flashy and suck.
And they played Colorado State, and I definitely did bet Colorado State money line today because
I would have.
It just feels right. Doesn't it just feel right? All is well. And now,
it does.
I will say, I'm not surprised by anything Dion's doing. I love that people, upset, and like rightfully so. He has done some like stupid things, but it's not like he got to Colorado and this all changed. No. Since he entered the NFL, he has been Deion Sanders, and nothing has changed. So you can't really
prime
fault
baby
him for that. No,
yeah,
really
it's prime time. What did you think you were gonna get?
Exactly. As the questions roll in, we do see them coming from everybody. We will go alphabetical order, and by alphabetical order, I mean as they come in. And if you want to jump it to the top, we do have a super chat feature. It was used for the first time on Wednesday. Jumps it right to the top. As this show goes on, there will probably be 20 to 25 start-sit questions deep that we will have to get to. So please, if you want it bumped up, we will get to every single question, but if you're in a rush, you are more than welcome to do that. All right, quick injury updates, then we'll dive into the questions. Quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Jordan Love, both questionable. I don't know why Jordan Love still has the questionable tag. There's no singular reason why he should be playing this week with a knee injury. And I'm going to imagine Russell Wilson will also not be playing. Justin Fields will look to start in Denver this week. Running back position, Marshawn Lloyd is questionable. Kenneth Walker, oblique injury, he is doubtful. Believe only one player has ever played on the doubtful tag since they started changing these designations. Not looking good for Kenneth Walker. And Christian McCaffrey, the Kyle Shanahan injury report finally came out early this week, and he has been ruled out. So just like Jordan Mason knew last Friday he was starting, he now knows this Friday that he is officially starting, and so does the rest of the fantasy football and NFL community. To the receivers, Jordan Addison is out this week, ankle injury. Jamison Williams, Josh Downs, Jaden Reed, Josh Palmer, Roman Wilson, all questionable, smattering of injuries. A lot of ankle injuries at the receiver position early on this season. Devon Vele, might have picked him up in your dynasty leagues. If you're in a deep league, you might have said, hey, Devon Vele, who the hell is that? I don't know, but Sean Payton likes random-ass receivers. He's out this week with a rib injury. T. Higgins, doubtful, with a hammy. The Bengals will once again struggle for 2 straight weeks. Marquise Brown has been placed on IR. It is went from, could potentially be back in a couple weeks to this is looking like a months-long recovery for Hollywood Brown. Only screams better things for Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice fantasy managers. Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze both questionable for Sunday Night Football against the Houston Texans. And at the tight end position, they all suck, but 2 decent ones got injured. Jake Ferguson, doubtful, and David Njoku is out. Both of those guys, one definitely not playing, one most likely not going to play. All right, starting from the top. Evan, you were in here 8 minutes before we even hit the live button. He has Najee Harris or Tony Pollard. We'll start there, and then we'll go to the second part of the question. I'll take this off the screen so, Nate, we can see you. Nate, Najee Harris or Tony Pollard? Nate, you're muted.
As much as I'm not a huge fan of Tony Pollard, because I'm just not, I've got him ahead of Najee Harris in my rankings this week. He's kind of the undisputed RB1 in Tennessee, whether you like it or not. We wanted Tyjae Spears. We're not going to get Tyjae Spears, at least not right now. Pollard has higher upside, so I'm going Pollard.
Joel.
Yeah, I agree. The Jets are playing second road game in 2 weeks, and this one's on a short week coming off on Monday. They got trashed by Jordan Mason on Monday night. You can't like the run defense right now. And, Najee Harris has got to go to Denver, early season road game in Denver. That's a tough spot. So I don't like Pittsburgh's offense this week at all.
The Jets defense got gashed. Tony Pollard's back in a split backfield. We love a good Tony Pollard. Back to the second part of the question. Pick 3. So essentially, who are you taking out of this conversation? Now, this may answer the question itself because Jameson Williams is questionable, but let's play it like he's going to play. Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Devonta Smith, Jameson Williams. Who are you sitting out of those 3, Nate? He's muted again. Nate!
Sorry, man. I'm trying to not. I have a dry throat. Damn Colorado.
It's okay.
So let's say here. Yeah, I'm sitting JMO here. With him being questionable and he's such a boom bust play, I'm gonna stick with consistency here. Go with Adams, DK, and Devontae.
Joel.
Yeah, agree. JMO's got the lowest expected target volume, so I'll take the other 3.
That was kind of boring on the first question. No back and forth here. I'm not a Jameson Williams guy whatsoever. So yeah, I'm benching Jameson Williams. Jonathan with a trade question. Trade worthy for Higgins. He's asking, do you trade Xavier Worthy for T. Higgins? Nate, what do you think?
We need qualifying stuff here. I want to know, do you need a boom play every week? Is that what you're looking for? Because if you do, Xavier Worthy's a guy you're going to want to throw in your flex. With Higgins being questionable, he always seems to be hampered by something. I wouldn't make that move. I'd keep Worthy.
Joel.
I agree. I think you can get more for Worthy than Higgins with the news that Hollywood's going to be out probably for the year. So I would probably just hold and wait for something better.
I would, yeah. Hollywood Brown's out. That means Xavier Worthy's the wide receiver too. Nobody's taking that spot from him. So I would keep Xavier Worthy and ride that train. If T. Higgins wasn't injured, maybe. But if he's going to have a lingering hamstring injury and a guy that has just been known to continually miss week after week with some even just minor NFL caliber injuries, you don't want any part of that. Chris G. PPR. Nico Collins or Xavier Worthy. We'll start there, then we'll go to the second part. Nate, Collins or Worthy?
I'm going to go with Collins this week for the consistency. Like I said, Worthy's a very boom-bust play. He might be the wide receiver 2 in Kansas City, but there's still Travis Kelce. There's still Samaje Perine who's going to get targets as well. I want Nico Collins.
Joel?
We need to come around to the fact that Nico Collins is an alpha. So, yeah, this is Nico easily.
I personally, I try and get both of them in your lineup, but if I'm picking one, I'm picking Nico Collins. If he's catching balls in triple coverage, cool. Like that's unstoppable at that point. And I don't love Chicago's secondary. I don't care what the Jalen Johnson hype is. I'm not a fan. I think Nico Collins can absolutely toast him. So that'll be easy. Second part of the question, needs a flex. Tony Pollard going to be in a lot of questions this week, or Jerome Ford against Jacksonville, Nate?
I'm probably going to go Pollard. I really do hate Cleveland's offense a lot. So I'm just because of that, I'm going to say Pollard. But ultimately, it's kind of a toss-up for me.
Joel?
Yeah, this is Joel and Nate are on the same page, Joe. I'm still taking Pollard. I don't trust Cleveland either, so I think the floor for Ford is just so much lower than it is for Pollard.
We really need some controversy here. I'm also going Tony Pollard. The questions being asked are guys I simply just don't have on my team because I dislike them. I think Jerome Ford is a boom or bust player. I think he and I say boomer bust, he's going to get touches, but he's going to average 3 yards a carry. But that one run that he has might be 60 yards for a touchdown. I'm not willing to bet on that. I think Tony Pollard is going to be much more consistent in a defense that just got they're pantsed last week. That was atrocious. And Tennessee's offensive line is no slouch. Moving over to Twitch, McNelson 911 got a bench 1. Xavier Worthy, Malik Neighbors, or Tank Dell. Who are we sitting, Nate?
Malik Neighbors. I think this one should be fairly obvious. If you're looking at these guys and all things are equal, which they're not, Tank Dell and Xavier Worthy are ahead of Malik Neighbors because of the Giant system. Who's got the worst quarterback? It's Malik Neighbors. Bye, Malik Neighbors.
Joe?
All right, we got controversy because Neighbors is the one I want to start just because Washington's pass defense is so effing bad. I will bench. Yeah. I'll bench Tank Dell because I kind of like Tyreek Stevenson in Chicago. So I'll go with Worthy, but I think they're pretty similar players.
We talked about it. They don't run a lot of 3 receiver sets, and when they do, when they run 2 receivers, Tank Dell's the receiver that's kicked out in Houston. So bye-bye Tank Dell. And if that Houston offense gets up early, Caleb Williams has not shown he can play yet in the NFL. So this might be a Joe Mixon 35-yard carry type of game by the second half, which Tank Dell is just not going to be needed at that point. So I would say Tank Dell here. And I'm just going to skip real quick to the A.J. Brown question. I know we see a lot of this in the chat. The latest NFL injury report, and our guy Josh brings up, Sirianni is scheduled to speak to the media in about 30 minutes, but the latest, according to the NFL official injury report, he was limited in practice. If he's limited in practice yesterday, depends on what he'll do today. Today's probably going to be somewhat of a walkthrough for them. I honestly wouldn't be too concerned with A.J. Brown. If Sirianni's kind of wishy-washy on it today, you might just have to say, we got to sit him because it is a Monday night game, and obviously you don't want a goose egg like the Christian McCaffrey fantasy managers had, even though we were told he was questionable and looking promising leading up to Monday Night Football. Fuck you, Kyle Shanahan, you piece of shit. A.J. Brown is limited in practice. We'll see officially what Nick Sirianni says. If we get an update for you during the show, we will definitely make sure we bring it up and talk about that. Anthony, you guys concerned about how some of the top tight ends performed? I'll go last. Nate?
Not really. It was week 1. If we get into week 2, we see more of like Trey McBride not getting featured, Travis Kelce not getting the targets, Sam Laporta underperforming. Maybe I'll start to worry, but like I said, it's just week 1. And this is tight end, guys. Like outside of the top 5 guys, you're going to have Colby Parkinson be tight end 6 some weeks. It's just how this works.
Joel?
Yeah, I'm not concerned at all. I think this is going to be a big week for Kelce. Andrews, it was just I think that was more about the lack of practice after the car accident. Trey McBride had 9 targets. It's not like he was bad. So I'm not worried about him. That should be a great matchup with the Rams. Again, let's not overreact to week 1. Weird shit happens on week 1 all the time. So yeah, if it follows through in week 2, then we might start getting concerned, but I'm not there yet.
Well, if you listen to No Punt Intended, I'd tell you to just punt on the tight end position. You want to know why? Because Noah Gray, the backup for the Kansas City Chiefs, had more points than second-round pick Travis Kelce. There were, how many kickers? There were probably, I think, 8 or 9 kickers with more points than Travis Kelce last week. Guys, the tight end position is horrible. Nate just said it. Colby Parkinson could be a top tight end any given week. Taysom Hill, I see questions in the chat. Foster Moreau and Juwan Johnson had the touchdowns at the tight end position. The tight end 3 for the New Orleans Saints had a touchdown. It doesn't matter. Colby Parkinson is going to play a Jake Ferguson type role in that Rams offense until Tyler Higbee comes back. That means 8 guaranteed points in a guaranteed top 10 performance. You want to know where he was drafted in your leagues? He wasn't, because nobody thought Colby Parkinson was catching a fucking football this year. This position is horrid. Jonnu Smith last night, or on Thursday night, excuse me. What do you have, 5, 6 catches? 10-point performance. Jonnu Smith.
6.
Thank you. Undrafted in every single one of your leagues. The tight end position is horrendous. I'm not worried about the top guys. I'm worried if you spent draft capital on the top guys because there could have been somebody else that you could have taken. I think this is something that is slowly going to be realized, especially as Travis Kelce starts fading away and starts, goes into retirement. I think people are going to start to realize there might be one and Trey McBride had the targets. That's fair. But there might not be a top dog tight end anymore where we're looking at and saying, yeah, he needs a 3rd-round pick spent on him. They just don't.
You don't think Brock Bowers turns into that guy?
I love Brock Bowers. I'm all about Brock Bowers. But you want to know where Brock Bowers was drafted this year? Towards the end of your drafts.
Yeah.
You didn't need to draft the tight end high. That's all I'm saying.
No,
I'm not worried. These guys are going to eat. They're going to get theirs. And you're obviously not going to have to worry about trying to find a tight end, which is the luxury of drafting a Laporta, a McBride, a Kelce. You're not looking to, pick up a tight end off the waiver wire. Or in the situation of a Ferguson or an Njoku, you don't have to scramble. But there are going to be a lot of weeks now where you're going to sit there and say, why the hell does rookie Xavier Worthy have 2 touchdowns on 4 targets and touches? And Travis Kelce has all this stuff, leads the team, or second in targets on the team, and has 6 points. Like that's going to happen to you some weeks.
Yeah.
You just have to, you got to live and die by that. And that's how I feel about the position as a whole. To Caesar. Thoughts on Taysom Hill? He had Njoku, picked up Ferguson. That doesn't help. The other option is Pat Freiermuth. So we'll go between Taysom Hill and Pat Freiermuth here, Nate.
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, last week, Freiermuth was at least... No, he wasn't relevant. We're talking about 2 guys that you're praying get something. The more likely to get something relevant, because he's not in Arthur Smith's offense, is Taysom Hill. I'm gonna roll Taysom Hill this week over.
Okay,
it's happening. It's gross, but
it is. Joel,
I'm gonna fade all the Saints tight ends this week just because Fuaga is pretty highly questionable. He's got a back injury and may not play, so I think they'll need to use their tight ends to block. I don't want the Saints tight ends this week. I don't like Freiermuth either. I would kind of go to the waiver wire. Can you get like Tucker Kraft? Yeah, you can get Tucker Kraft because I think they're going to want to get a lot of easy targets for Malik Willis this week.
Yes.
So Kraft with those drag routes and pivot routes is going to be pretty high on their target list. So I would not. I'd rather go with him than Freiermuth. But yeah,
I like that, Joe. I am targeting Kraft in a lot of DFS this weekend for that same reason. Yep. That's a good call. I like that.
I agree. Look at the waiver wire. I'm sure it's slim. If you have no other options, I would go Pat Freiermuth. I don't love it, but I will never say Taysom Hill. It is never Taysom. Caesar knows this. He's a super fan. He's got the green badge, check mark, all that stuff. Never Taysom Hill. And Caesar knows my answer is never going to be Taysom Hill. It's not pretty, but you're hoping that maybe Pittsburgh can turn over Bo Nix in their own territory. They get, good field position, and maybe Freiermuth can find his way into the end zone. Justin Fields not known for heavily targeting the tight end position, but Cole Kmet did have 6 touchdowns last year.
Yeah. Freiermuth was tight end 13 last week, right? Like, he's going to get something. Sure. If Taysom Hill gets a couple touchdowns, you're going to wish he'd started Taysom Hill. And plus, it'll make Joel mad, Caesar. Think about that. You can come back on the show next week and piss Joel off and be like, I started Taysom Hill in 1, sucker. Just turn it out there,
This is true. Reminder, we are going in order of these questions. If you want to jump the line, Super Chat is available, but I'm going to go in order of all these questions, and every question that's in here we will answer. So I promise you, if it's in here, we normally go, about an hour, maybe a little over. That's because we want to get to every single question here. Also asking Fields, Caleb, or Baker. Fields in Denver, Caleb in Houston, Baker in Detroit. They are all on the road. Not the most favorable matchups for any of them. Nate.
This is easy for me. It's Baker Mayfield. He's my QB 12 this week, and I don't care what defense he's playing. I think he's earned that right here until he proves us otherwise. He's just going to go out and ball. QB 10 last year. He's going to be a top 10 QB this weekend. He's going to be a top 10 QB all season.
Joel.
Yeah, this is Baker easily. Detroit's pass defense still looked like garbage last week, and I think that's the highest over-under on the slate this week. So, yeah, this is easily Baker.
Baker as well for me. I'm not trusting Caleb Williams, and I am reluctantly starting Justin Fields in one league because he was the best quarterback on the waiver wire to go pick up. My starter was Jordan Love. obviously I'm hoping for the rushing upside with Justin Fields here. So if Fields had a better matchup, I think this is easily Justin Fields, but Baker looked good. Plain and simple, he looked good last week, and you're hoping that continues with him this week. From Ron, sit 1, full PPR, Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins, Rashee Rice, DJ Moore, Debo Samuel, Nate. Loaded, to say the least.
This is
loaded.
Yeah, Ron, this is a phenomenal problem to have, my friend. Oh boy.
Is it bad I'm thinking Garrett Wilson?
I'm between Garrett Wilson and DJ Moore, man. I'm probably going to sit DJ Moore in this group. And it's the Jets up against Tennessee. I think maybe Aaron Rodgers cooks just a little.
Joel?
Yeah, I got to agree on DJ Moore just because the Chicago pass offense looked so bad last week. There's no way I'm benching Debo or Rashee or Nico and Garrett Wilson. Like the Jets or the Tennessee run defense is really good, but it's a really pass funnel defense. So I have a tough time sitting Wilson. So I'm going to say DJ Moore by default. But yeah, champagne problems here.
Here's my issue. 3 of these guys I'm huge fans of. Wilson, Rashee Rice, DJ Moore. I'm all over them. Like Nico Collins, don't like Debo Samuel. Obviously, you love Debo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey's out. I will keep the consistency with DJ Moore. You're hoping Garrett Wilson just gets peppered with targets and the Jets actually look like a real offense. If the Jets don't look like a real offense, red flags everywhere. But if they don't, Garrett Wilson managers, you should be very happy because Aaron Rodgers is just going to go lock in on Garrett Wilson the rest of the season because he's going to say, fuck this team. We can't do anything. Garrett Wilson's the only good player. Let's go. In our first super chat of the day, and Steven did it again on Wednesday. So, Steven, thank you very much for the $5. Steven jumps to chat. Would you flex Jerome Ford over Nico Collins and Zach Charbonnet? He already has Jordan Mason in the lineup, played Achane, and he has Jahmyr Gibbs. It's a half-point PPR. So, Achane, decent night on Thursday, did himself pretty well. So he's playing from ahead decently here, and we obviously saw what Jordan Mason did last week. I don't think I am putting in Ford over either of these guys, considering Charbonnet is going to be the top dog. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Joel?
Agree. I don't like Charbonnet in general, but since he's got the job, I trust him more than Jerome Ford. So, yep. And there's no way I'm starting Ford over Nico.
No, not even a little bit. It would be Ford or Charbonnet, and realistically, Charbonnet is getting 80% of the backfield touches this week, if not more, with no Kenneth Walker back there. And you're still sitting pretty with Mason and Gibbs. Charbonnet is a much safer play than Jerome Ford is. So you're sitting pretty good there, Steven. Thank you again for the $5. From South Sea, would you guys drop Tua? The backup is Caleb Williams, but I can pick up someone in waivers. Nate?
Yeah, at this point, I think you have to hedge your bets here, and I don't know that he comes back this season. So yes, I would drop Tua and see what you can find on the waiver wire.
Joel?
Yeah, it depends on what's on the wire, but if there is someone capable, if there's a starter there, then yeah, I would drop him.
Go get Jameis Winston just in case.
I mean, true.
Yep.
Ryan Tannehill. That's the
Ryan
rumor
Tannehill
for Miami. I would be shocked if Tua comes back this year. When he was recovering from his concussion 2 seasons ago in week 16, when he got his 3rd concussion that year, it was probably just a continuation of the first one. But when he had that, he wasn't medically cleared to do any football practice until April. He wasn't medically cleared for almost 4 months. There's no shot he is medically cleared in the next 2 months. And at that point, is Miami even going to bring him back? Because there's no shot they're going to have any chance at that division. Even with Tua in the lineup, anybody feel like that Mike McDaniel's special dust is kind of wearing off? That offense did not look good at all against a defense in Buffalo that we all thought was probably going to be towards the bottom of the NFL in how they perform. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals put up 28 on them in Buffalo. You had 7 at home. That's not pretty. So I don't think Miami's going to even look to rush back And with how Mike McDaniel is acting, I don't think Tua sees the field again this season. You're safe dropping him.
Part of the problem with Miami was Tua, though. I mean, he was really bad. He had 3 picks, 1 for a pick 6.
Correct.
So he was part of the problem.
Yes.
But also,
I don't think Skylar Thompson helps the problem.
No, it doesn't.
He looked all right. What was he was 8 for 14 or something like that. But okay, who are they going to bring in at this point that's going to be worse than what Tua was putting out the first 2 weeks?
I don't disagree with that. Yes, sure.
This team might end up if they bring in a guy like a Joe Flacco or something like that. You catch lightning in a bottle like Cleveland did last year, and maybe that is Ryan Tannehill. I think this offense could actually be better with a new quarterback.
You just need a guy who's going to consistently find Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle down the field. That's all.
Call up Trent Dilfer. He can come out of retirement, right?
You got HN special.
Exactly. Caesar start 2 in a standard. Ramondre, Najee, and Devonta Smith. So basically, who are we sitting here as Jalen Hurts as his quarterback? Nate.
I am sitting Najee Harris out of these 3. Ramondre's an RB1 this year. I don't know why we're all sleeping on him. I tried to tell everybody all offseason.
Dog.
Yeah, this guy's going to be a bell cow. And then Najee and Denver, I just don't love the matchup.
Joel?
Yep, agree. Standard, all you care about is touchdowns, and I think Ramondre and Devonta both have better or higher touchdown likelihood, so I'll take those 2.
Yeah, normally we're not saying sit the running back in a standard league, but in this case, sit the running back, go with Devonta Smith and Ramondre Stevenson. And if you get the touchdown, it's obviously double points, which we'd like to see there. Jonathan, trade Charbonnet to the Walker owner for Devin Singletary. No.
Why would you want a Giants running back?
Why would you want a Giant?
I mean, why would you want a Giant in general? Well, other than Malik Neighbors, maybe down the line, but yeah.
Yeah, no. Hold on to Charbonnet, because if Walker continues to get hurt, you have an RB1. Devin Singletary is an RB2.
Yep. I think you can get more.
Oh, you definitely could get more.
Yep.
You definitely could get more right now. But, I mean, obviously it's what does he have on his roster that he's willing to give up is the tough thing. Because obviously you're only trading Charbonnet to the Kenneth Walker owner, but I would stay away from that at least.
Like this is a trade psychology deal where if he's offering you Singletary, he would rather start Charbonnet over Singletary. So why would you do that?
James brings up, he says Charbonnet isn't that good. Neither is Devin Singletary, but Devin Singletary is closer to getting supplanted by Tyrone Tracy Jr. and is in a worse offense than Charbonnet, who has a solidified role as, a rotating back with Kenneth Walker, but when Walker's out, he's the bell cow guy, and he has a better offense. So I agree with you. Charbonnet is not the best option, but Devin Singletary's not the replacement option. He looked good behind that Houston offensive line because the Houston offensive line's actually good. There's no one good on that New York Giants offensive line. There's no one good on that team, Malik Neighbors withstanding. It's a tough look for the Giants this year. A real gopher. Kamara, Dobbins, Neighbors, Devontae Adams, Amari. Start 2 in a PPR. A pretty loaded question here, Nate. Who are you going with? Need 2.
Okay. Yeah, this is tough. I've got J.K. Dobbins as my RB4 this week after the kind of fire we saw last weekend, and then they're playing Carolina. So I want to get Dobbins in here. Dobbins is the lock, especially with that matchup. You really want to go with Kamara. I'm kind of between Kamara and Adams. I'm going to go Dobbins and Kamara. Kamara brings that PPR upside plus touchdowns and the rushing and all that fun stuff. So,
Joel?
I'll be the one who doesn't say Dobbins. He just didn't get a lot of volume. He was really just hyper efficient. So I think this could be maybe more Gus Edwards than we expect. I really like Amari this week. Jacksonville secondary sucks, and they lost Tyson Campbell. So I like Cooper, and I like Kamara. I just think that's going to be a shootout, and he's going to be a big part of it for the Saints. So I would take those 2.
I don't love the Kamara matchup, but I am just fully betting that New Orleans is down 21 at half, and they just pepper Kamara out of the backfield. That's my hope, because I have him in a couple leagues. I'm like, please, just pepper it. He's not going to be able to get any yards on the ground, but I just need you to pepper him in the passing game. Anyone who plays Carolina should be in your lineup. I don't care who it is. Fucking Foster Moreau caught a touchdown. anyone who plays Carolina should be in your lineup. So Dobbins, I'll go Kamara. Hello, Nate's child. And I don't hate the Adams matchup because Marlon Humphrey is fully washed up. The biggest issue is Gardner Minshew going to be able to, one, get the ball out against that defensive front, and two, get it out effectively. So I'm going Dobbins and Kamara here. The one mainstay for everybody here is Alvin Kamara. Michael, is Jaden Reed going to have the similar volume? Joel, I'll kick that to you, the Green Bay fan.
Yes. Indianapolis plays the highest rate of zone in the league, and last week Jaden Reed was PFF grades are what they are, but he was led the league in receiving yardage, and he was their highest ranked receiver against zone coverage. And again, they're going to want to get easy manufactured touches for Malik Willis. So yes, he will have huge volume this week. I'm not worried about the injury. That LaFleur said in his press conference yesterday that was pretty minor, so just limited practice. So yeah, he's going to have monster volume. I love him this week.
Volume's good.
He's the only part.
Quarterback's not.
He's the only part of this offense I care about this week. That maybe Tucker Kraft, but yeah, Jaden Reed should feast.
Jacobs is going to get 30 touches as well. His touch volume is massive.
If Marshawn Lloyd plays, I like Marshawn Lloyd a lot. I'm throwing that out there. If Marshawn Lloyd plays,
me too.
He still hasn't gotten.
He's my favorite back. No, he's not going to play. I don't think we see him till week 5.
He'll be inactive again. They got Emmanuel Wilson. They like him.
Most likely, I agree with that. I think it's good. You're going to see if Green Bay doesn't run the football 70% of the time. That's crazy. But also, Jaden Reed might see 5 of those runs on end arounds or something fancy like that. So he honestly might have more volume than last week because he's their best weapon. Christian Watson's downfield. Dobbs is a possession receiver. Same with Dontavian Wicks. Reed's a weapon. And LaFleur's going to need to dial up his weapon if they have any chance of getting a win this week and future weeks without Jordan Love. I'm going to assume this means Wan'Dale Robinson going to go off. He did get a solid amount of targets last week, but I'm not betting money on Wan'Dale Robinson to do well. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, I guess what's your definition of go off? He had 12 targets last week, turned that into 11.8 PPR points. If that's your definition of going off, he could probably do that again. And for Wan'Dale Robinson, that is kind of going off, isn't it?
In a deep flex.
It's all relative.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
I wouldn't start him.
The Washington pass defense is so ass. I mean, every one of the starting Buccaneers receivers got a touchdown last week. So
I agree with that, Joel. Minnesota's secondary is arguably worse, and it didn't matter because the front seven got to Daniel Jones, and they saw how do you hide a horrible secondary? 2 of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL and a very good solid core of linebackers. That's how you hide a bad secondary. If Andrew Van Ginkel is picking off screen passes, that's an issue for the Giants offense. That's a real issue for the Giants offense. He has a chance because the secondary is so bad. That chance is horribly diminished by his offensive line and his quarterback. I wouldn't put him in a lineup. If you want to go really cheap in DFS and load up on high-end guys and maybe throw Wan'Dale Robinson in there as hey, if he hits, I guarantee I'm the only one that has him, maybe do that. But I am not playing him in a redraft, hell, even a dynasty lineup, unless it's you're in a deep 16, maybe 14-team league. It's got to be a really deep league for me to be putting Wan'Dale Robinson in my lineup. A real gopher, if it grabbed Baltimore's defense on waivers, do you drop the Jets for Amari Cooper, or should he hold both here? Nate?
No, never hold 2 defenses. So if you're going with Baltimore this week, drop the Jets.
Joel?
Never hold 2 defenses. Don't draft defenses for that matter.
Drop the Jets in general. I mean, it's really hard to be an elite defense in consecutive years unless you have elite talent and Lawrence Taylor level talent, and they don't. So yeah, I can see a massive drop off from the Jets defense. So I'm good dropping them.
So Gopher, before I say my answer, because I'm a defense guy. I already picked up the Raiders next week because they're playing Carolina at home. Already did that. Boom, didn't need a guy on my roster, picked him up. Baltimore, I'm trying to look who they play to make sure that you could realistically play them back-to-back weeks. No, do not drop the Jets because they go into Dallas next week. That's a horrible matchup for them. You want to know who the Jets play? The Patriots. Now, if the Jets look horrible this week, red alarm, red flags everywhere. Because if they can't play defense against Tennessee, that's bad. I'm not an Amari Cooper fan. I think Daniel Jones has more fantasy points than Deshaun Watson this week. That's a horrible offense. I'm holding the Jets at least for another week because their matchup in week 3 is so good and Baltimore's matchup is horrendous. If the Raiders are out there, drop the Jets, get Amari Cooper, drop Baltimore next week, pick up the Raiders. That's fine. That's how you got to look at defenses sometimes. Unless you're sitting there with the Niners, who realistically right now, maybe the Cowboys, those two defenses might be the only ones you're starting week to week. If not, look ahead for defenses in weeks. And look ahead to who the fuck is playing Carolina, because that is a lock. Every single week, that is a lock.
Yes.
Fully, that is a lock. So that's what I would say there. And Joe says this is for me. He's got A.J. Brown, also have Brian Thomas and Calvin Ridley. The news of A.J. Brown is not good. Who are you going with? Could drop Ridley for Jahan Dotson just in case. That's big brain move there. I don't know if I love Brian. I don't know if I love Brian Thomas this week. They clearly want to get him the football. He was involved. It was only 4 targets, but he caught all 4 of them, found a touchdown. If he's going to see Denzel Ward, I don't know if I love it. I don't love Calvin Ridley. I'm not willing to put money on Jahan Dotson 4 weeks in an offense playing well. I would probably listen. I would pick up Dotson just in case, because him and Ridley are going to score the same amount of points, but Dotson has a higher upside. Roll with A.J. Brown. If Brown's out, put Dotson in, because I don't think Brian Thomas is going to exponentially get you more points than any of these other guys. So it's not worth it for him. And then if A.J. Brown starts, you're kicking yourself because he's probably dropping 30 against that Falcons defense. At least in the case of Dotson, you have the second wide receiver in the offense to at least go in there. Maybe he catches a deep ball touchdown. Maybe he's 5 for 50. At least get you something. It's going to be similar to what Brian Thomas will do. I don't know if you guys agree, disagree, but that's probably what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, that's a smart move because, like you said, Brian Thomas, what are we going to get? We don't know. And Calvin Ridley's just...
He's meh right now.
Yeah, that's what he is, and that's what he will continue to be. And especially in Tennessee. I don't know why anybody wants any of these Tennessee receivers. Just be done with them.
If Will Levis can start showing... Because Will Levis wasn't great last year, but he just peppered DeAndre Hopkins towards the end of the season, and Hopkins was producing. We says Jameis Winston's a horrible quarterback. You want to know the best thing for Chris Olave is if Derek Carr tears both his knees and Jameis Winston comes into the game. That's the best thing that could happen, because Jameis Winston is just going to shit whip 17 targets a game to Chris Olave. You don't.
Jameis is in Cleveland now, so
that's fine. The best thing for Amari Cooper is for Deshaun Watson to get hurt, and then Jameis Winston comes in, and Amari Cooper is immediately vaulted to wide receiver 1 in the league, a la Joe Flacco last year. That's the best thing. You don't need a good quarterback. You just need a guy who's going to pepper him with targets. So hopefully Levis can do that, and I think at some point he will. Right now he's not. Ridley is a safe drop, especially kind of that Dotson handcuff to A.J. Brown right now. From Emil, thoughts on this trade? Jerome Ford and Jalen Waddle for Derrick Henry. Nate.
I like it. Derrick Henry's a league-winning running back. Until he retires, I'm willing to spend up for him, especially in Baltimore, where we know they're just going to run the ball a ton. Ford and Waddle, we don't know what we're going to get out of them week to week.
Joel?
Yeah, I'm okay with it with the Tua injury. I like Nate said, we just don't know what's going to happen with Waddle. That offense could become really inconsistent. So yeah, I'll take the more consistent piece there.
I just don't love Derrick Henry's non-existent passing work. At least in Tennessee, it was somewhat there. There is no passing work for this man in Baltimore. None. So that's my only holdup. But you have to imagine that they're gonna, Todd Monken, in his monkey brain, is going to fucking figure out he should probably just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry 25 times a game, because that's what worked in Tennessee. So I would, if they're willing to do that, I would go get Derrick Henry. From Anthony, Kyler Murray or Jaden Daniels this week? Jaden Daniels, we'll see. I'm looking at the week 3 schedule. I'm like, Cleveland doesn't play the New York Giants. Washington does. Washington will see them. Kyler Murray goes back home opener against the Rams. Nate.
I have them at 6 and 7 in my week 2 quarterback rankings. It's pretty much a toss-up to me, but I'm going to go Jaden Daniels because of the matchup against the Giants.
Joel.
I'll differ. I'll say Kyler. I think that's a shootout. That Rams defense is really it's not good. Their offense is really beat up. They've just got a ton of injuries. So I think Kyler gets right, and I think that game's I think it's the second highest over/under behind Detroit and Tampa. So yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of points in that game. So I kind of like Kyler, but yeah, they're very close.
Yeah, they said they're the third highest right now. Kansas City, Cincinnati is 48.5. Arizona and the
the
Rams
under on that one.
Yeah, are tied with the Arizona game's tied with the Philly game of 47.5, and the leaders are Tampa, Detroit at 51.5. So, yeah, that is that. And the lowest, if you're wondering, is New England, Seattle. No, it is not the Carolina Panthers, which is absolutely insane. I will go Jaden Daniels because I think he runs for 102 touchdowns, and I'm not saying Kyler Murray doesn't. I don't think he's going to run for 102 touchdowns. Probably runs for like 50, 60 in a touchdown. It's right. Joel's right. It's going to be a shootout. That game is going back and forth. It always does. The Rams tend to own Arizona, but Arizona still puts up 28 points, 30 points every time they see them. The Rams just put up more. Cooper Kupp's going to have 1 million targets. He's going to have a great week. They're going to need to throw to stay in the game. I just like Jaden Daniels. He had 84 and 2 touchdowns last week. Sign me up again. Run it back. And he might have he might have 3 passing touchdowns in this game too, because the Giants can't fucking cover. So I just like the rushing upside with Daniels more, but honestly, I mean both are very, very good options this week. From Emma, tight end question. Kyle Pitts or Isaiah Likely? Talk about a guy who was undrafted. Nate.
I am still going to go Kyle Pitts here. I love what Likely did last week, but I mean, we know that that's not going to be every week, right? Like, we can all agree on the fact that Isaiah Likely is not going to score 26 plus PPR fantasy points. It is what I think, and I think we all know that that's true. Mark Andrews is going to get back involved. He's going to start seeing volume. I'm not worried about that. Kyle Pitts, because he is the tight end in Atlanta, and I love Kyle Pitts, and I stain Kyle Pitts. I'm going Kyle Pitts here.
Okay. Joel?
Agreed. I'd like Likely quite a bit, but I think Pitts has got to be like at the top of your tight end rankings right now.
Yeah.
So,
don't do it, Joel.
Kirk Cousins is in primetime on the road against Philadelphia in week 2 again. Do you remember the last time he played Monday Night Football week 2 in Philadelphia?
It was bad.
They put up a ton of points, though. They lost.
No, they didn't.
Was that the 4 turnover game?
They had 7 points. They had 7 points. Kirk Cousins couldn't move last week. That is my biggest worry. If this wasn't in primetime, Kyle Pitts all the way. But it's in primetime. And Kirk Cousins is a bitch in primetime. And I have no problem saying that. He sucks in primetime. Isaiah Likely to the fucking moon, baby. I am all about, and I have Pitts in one league, and I hope Kyle Pitts plays well this week. But you know what I hope? I hope Isaiah Likely takes every tight end lover's dream and fucking crushes it this year. The undrafted wonder in fantasy football of Isaiah Likely just pisses all over Mark Andrews' grave. And I like Mark Andrews. I think he's a great tight end. But I hope he pisses all over Mark Andrews' grave, that 5th-round tight end that you drafted. Isaiah Likely to the moon, baby. Raiders' defense is also horrible. So
I mean, yes.
So is Philly's. So is Philly against covering tight ends. But the Raiders' secondary is atrocious. So I love Likely. I'm all about Isaiah Likely. Both are probably good options. Both are going to
Yeah.
end up being top 10 tight ends. And I know the
This
league
is a
she's
good
asking
problem to
in.
have.
I know the league she's asking in. I believe I know the league. She had James Cook. You're fine either way. You're fully fine either way. You had James Cook. So I know you're okay in either way. From Joseph, 12-team half-point PPR double flex no tight end spot. What a great way to start a fucking question by laying out the league.
Yeah.
Drake
For sure.
London was dropped.
What?
Why? Made a trade so he can have the 101. So this looks like I have the 101. This is either a keeper league or maybe a dynasty league. I'm not too sure. Is this a full 101 fab dump to secure him? He has Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, and Godwin as his receivers. I mean, I don't know if it's a full fab dump, but why the hell is Drake London on the waiver wire? Yeah,
Right.
go get him.
Yeah.
Go get him.
You will never
A
see
wide
a player as
receiver
good as
one?
Drake London on the wires. Yeah, for sure.
I
No,
have
that's
to
crazy.
imagine the next guy after Drake London on the waiver wire is fucking Wan'Dale Robinson. So like, yeah, you gotta go get him by far.
Yep.
B the S. Do you think we see Tommy Cutlets at some point this year? What a question. Oh boy. Anyway, do you think we see Tommy Cutlets?
No,
started on the
I
depth
hope
chart.
not. Yeah, we'll see
He's
Drew
behind Drew
Lock
Lock.
first.
No. That's what you think until Tommy Cutlet's agent comes in and nails Drew Lock's kneecaps. That's what you think.
Was Galuli on him?
For this, oh my God, this is another great example. For the sake of Malik Neighbors, if Drew Lock comes in, skyrocket Malik
Yeah.
Neighbors.
Oh, yes.
Skyrocket. Oh, the case of, and I'm not even going to say the worst quarterback in this instance because I think Drew Lock is on par, if not better than Daniel Jones. But in the case of the backup quarterback in this instance, oh boy, if you see Jameis Winston and Drew Lock come in, Amari Cooper and Malik Neighbors are must starts every week. I don't care if they see prime Darrelle Revis. They are must starts because those QBs don't give two shits about who's covering them. He's just going to whip it to them. I don't think we see Cutlets. I do hope we see Drew Lock for the... I don't have Neighbors in any league, but for the hope of Malik Neighbors owners, you better hope you see Drew Lock this year. Connor LaRose, Jerome Ford or Christian Kirk in a PPR. Same game. Who are you going with? Nate.
Jerome Ford, and it's just because I have something deep down inside me against Christian Kirk. Deep.
Okay. Deep. Very deep. Joel.
I'll take the other side. Cleveland plays a ton of man. And that's where Kirk is much better against man coverage and zone. So I will take Kirk this week. I think this is a Kirk game.
I hope it's a Kirk game. I like Christian Kirk. I was shying away from him because I didn't love, like the hamstring and like all those things coming into the year. So I shied away from him. But I do love Christian Kirk. I would go with Christian Kirk, especially since it's a PPR. Fucking Trevor Lawrence needs to act like he's a number 1 overall pick and not act like he's played at Clemson in 2023. Like he needs to act like a legitimate quarterback. Once that happens, we'll be okay. It's not going to happen, but maybe it does. Maybe it does, Nate. Okay.
No.
People can dream. People can dream.
We all have to come to terms with the fact that Trevor Lawrence is a mid at best quarterback.
College football is still holding on to GJ Uwagungalagalai to be a good quarterback. Okay? They're still holding on
So
to
are
it.
my Devi rosters.
Yeah, they're still holding on to it. Is he gonna? No. But you know what
No.
that means? Trevor Lawrence has a better fucking chance of being a better quarterback than DJ Uwagungalagaloo. Okay?
So do I.
Yeah, all of us do.
And I'm
Also,
42.
don't you find it funny that every college he's been to, he's changed the pronunciation of his last name? It's crazy. Not really.
Yeah, he's a little nuts.
Not really. It's probably been the same, but it feels like everybody's pronouncing it differently. Frank Quituga, I think. Is this a good trade? Cooper Kupp and Ramondre Stevenson for Kieran Williams and Christian Kirk. I want the Cooper
side are
Kupp
you
and
on?
Ramondre Stevenson
Yeah.
side
Yeah.
by a mile. By 3 miles.
Yes, the Kyron Williams Christian Kirk side's getting bent over a barrel. No.
The first part of the trade is better singular players, better role. Yeah.
It's all
Kupp
together.
Stevenson. Ooh.
Yeah.
If you have Kieran and Christian Kirk, smash accept. I mean, throw your computer out the window and break it to smash the the trade button. That's insane. Yeah, Cup and Stevenson,
Yeah.
100%. Joel, I already know your answer. I'm not even going to go to you. That's across the board. Jonathan, how do we feel about Achane with Tua dealing with running back chaos? He has CMC, Achane, Zach Moss, Charbonnet. He has Jordan Mason, so he has the handcuff to McCaffrey, which is nice. But he's not sitting pretty after Achane. It's Zach Moss, who's in a split backfield, and Charbonnet, of course, will have the most carries this week in that backfield, but is the RB2 in Seattle. I'm personally okay with Achane still being there without Tua. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it changes much. If anything, we're going to see a little bit more Achane.
I was going to say, I think he's the safest guy on that offense right now because, like, Tyreek Hill's and you need time to work with him and, understand each other. So if they go to someone else, I think Achane's just the safest volume play there.
What about Jalen Wright's 4 rushing yards? How do we feel about him?
5
Most
carries.
not supposed to be out that long, so I'm not that high on him yet.
When Jeff Wilson Jr. is out carrying the guy that everybody's hyping up, maybe we should take a step back on the hype train there. South C, you playing Jordan Mason over Devonta Smith if A.J. Brown is out. Well, we won't know if he's out probably until he's probably going to be a game time decision if he is not announced out today. I mean, I'm fine with playing Jordan Mason right now and taking Devonta Smith out if you want to.
Yep.
I'm okay with it.
Same.
I wouldn't. I would still start Devonta. He's so much safer. Like, the Vikings' run defense is a lot better than their pass defense, so I could see this being like a Purdy 4-touchdown game. So I don't think Mason's volume is as safe as it was last week. So I'm sticking with the safer player in Devonta Smith.
Okay, that's fair. Michael just traded Puka for Jaden Reed. Feels like it is a steal.
I think so.
It'll feel like
Puka's going to miss like 5 games.
Yeah, but when you get to if your team makes the fantasy playoffs, you're going to really wish you had Puka.
It's going to be very.
Are you going to get there without him though? He's going to miss 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point.
If you build your roster like I do, you are. Because I have Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, James Cook, and one other, Ramondre Stevenson. I don't know how I got.
Stop telling us about your 6-person league, man.
No, that's a 10-team league with IDPs.
Ooh.
Everyone just fucking hates running backs, so I hoard them all, and they're all good. So it's great. 16-team league. Christian. Oof. Amonra, Breece, ETN. Oh, AR. Sorry. Anthony Richardson, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, Amonra St. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Kyle Pitts, Rashid Shaheed. Thinking about trading for Henry with ETN. I would trade Terry McLaurin for Henry. I don't think they'll take it, but dangle it and see if it happens. Because if they're going to do what they did to Terry McLaurin last week with an actually good quarterback finally, Terry McLaurin's just going to keep being Terry McLaurin, and I really don't want that to happen because he's a good receiver. But, I mean, Shaheed's just a touchdown waiting to happen. Terry McLaurin's a one-catch game waiting to happen. And I'd rather have the touchdown. That's me. I don't think they take it, but I wouldn't trade ETN.
No.
As the world's foremost shitter on of Travis Etienne, I would do that, but I don't think you have the wide receiver depth to trade away Terry McLaurin, even though I'm down on him in general, but I don't know that you can trade him away with that.
I mean, if you're going to trade, I would trade ETN for a receiver. I would not trade ETN for another running back. Because I think at the end of the season, ETN and Henry are going to be so close to each other, it's not going to matter. Whereas if you trade ETN for maybe a solid wide receiver 2 with high wide receiver 1 upside, I mean, that might be better. Hell, somebody just dropped Drake London in a league. Maybe trade for Drake London.
I hope not in a 16-man league.
Yeah, God, not in a 16. That would be crazy.
Right.
But I wouldn't go running back for running back. I'd maybe go running back for receiver if you want to do that. Or if you want to get Derrick Henry, I would maybe dangle Terry McLaurin. It's just me. Then you can play Henry in your flex. So, from Michael, who for the flex? Robinson on the Giants, Wandale. Greg Dortch, Ladd McConkey. Don't get Reed till next week, obviously on waivers for that reason. I'm smash starting Ladd McConkey.
Going Dortch.
I don't hate that either.
Yeah, it would be either McConkey or Dortch, but I would lean McConkey.
Carolina, baby.
Well,
Dial him up.
Yeah. Fair point.
Dial
I don't think you
him.
can go wrong with McConkey or Dortch.
Yeah. I think they both have pretty high volume floors, so I'm good with either.
Very, yeah. James, does Cliff's apprehension towards throwing downfield affect your stance on Jaden Daniels at all? This was a follow-up from the Kyler to Jaden Daniels question. I think for a young guy, I don't think it gives me like any apprehension whatsoever, especially when he has such a high rushing upside. If this was a guy that is a pocket passer and you need him to throw down the field to get more yardage, maybe. But let's call it 100 yards maybe downfield he's missing out on a game, that's 4 points. He needs 40 yards on the ground to make that up. He's going to do that every single week. So I'm not worried about it. I don't know about you guys.
No,
not on a
I'm not worried
week-to-week
about it at all.
basis, but I would say long-term, I think it's going to be really hard for him to stay healthy for the entire season with that kind of rushing volume.
I don't disagree with that. He's not built like a Cam Newton, so
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot harder. Needs to slide. Maybe not drop his shoulder and helmet into the chest of a safety.
Good start.
That's a good start.
Definitely a good start. Yeah, don't do that 5 times in 4 years. Definitely a good start. Elixirs, we starting Xavier Worthy or Malik Neighbors? This is a standard, ladies and gentlemen. Standard. I'm going Worthy.
I'm all over Worthy and Standard.
Yeah, in PPR, I think this would be pretty easily Neighbors, but in Standard, he's just got the higher touchdown upside. So, yeah, I'll take Worthy.
And then same thing, Brian Robinson or Jerome Ford? Nate?
Brian Robinson.
Joel.
Easy.
Robinson, easy. Yep.
Robinson, very, very easy, especially in a standard. Noradian Ghazali, CMC for CD Lamb.
Oh,
Who's doing that deal on the other side?
Why not?
right. I'd
If
do
you
it.
can get CD,
I'm taking
Wide
CD
receiver
Lamb all
one.
day.
Yep.
you can get CD
Not
Lamb.
even close.
I'm going to get CD Lamb in this trade, 100%. Bing King, Bucky Irving or Justice Hill for large field GPP.
Ooh. That's a good question, actually. I would lean Hill, but I think he's going to be more chalk than Irving. Might want to go Irving for the contrarian. See if you can outwit some of your GPP people.
Joel?
I would take Irving just for the game environment. I don't think that Baltimore game is going to be very high scoring, and I do think the Tampa Bay Detroit game is going to be. So I just think he's got a better chance to score.
It's a good point. I like Justice Hill's passing volume, and that's really all you're going to see him. But to the point
Yeah.
of if they're just going to be running the football because they're up so much.
Yeah, if it's just a Henry game, then Hill could take a 0, and I don't think Bucky Irving's going to do that. So I would lean Irving.
Yeah, they'll get Irving involved in the game plan. I don't love the matchup, but yeah, I'll ride Bucky Irving here as well. From Jigs, would you start Tank Dell or Devin Singletary in the flex? Oof. Nate.
I'm going Tank Dell. I know for a lot of reasons you're probably going to say Devin Singletary,
No,
but
I'm not.
you're wrong.
I fucking
Oh, good.
I think
All right.
Singletary. I think Devin Singletary is one of the worst running backs in the NFL that people consistently talk about being good. He's
There's
horrible.
never a situation in which I'm going to say yes to Devin Singletary. Just put it that way.
He looked good last year because of that offensive line in Houston. Joe Mixon, over the last 3 years, has averaged 5 yards per carry in a game 9 times against that Bengals offensive line. That's 9 times through, was that 48 weeks of football, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
He did it once behind that Houston offensive line. It was almost 6 yards per carry. Devin Singletary was made by that Texans offensive line. No Devin Singletary.
And this is not the matchup that you want Devin Singletary. Washington is a total pass funnel defense. So, yeah, this is absolutely Tank Dell. And you would, like, if you go back to your draft day, Tank Dell probably went, 6 rounds ahead of Singletary?
Yeah, probably.
You
Yeah.
can't be flipping that right now. Yeah.
Oh. Joe saying he flat dropped McLaurin for Jamison Williams. I don't know how you had Jamison Williams on your waivers unless you're in like an 8, maybe a 10. But, yeah, okay. Hey, good,
It's a
good for
14
you.
league, Joel.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
okay with it.
Good for you. I'm good with that as well. Woods Girl, good to see you back. Broncos or Texans defense in week 2, Nate?
Ooh. Well, Justin Fields is starting for Pittsburgh in theory. So I would say I'm going to go Broncos defense.
Joel.
I'll take the Texans just because of how bad Chicago and Caleb Williams look week 1, and especially they're going on a primetime game. So I'll lean Texans, but I like them both this week.
Texans smash. It's even better if Adunze and or Keenan Allen sit. It's even better if that happens. I actually think if Fields starting is harder for the Broncos defense.
I think he makes more mistakes.
I don't
disagree. He's going to make more mistakes than Russ. So if you're looking at turnovers, I want those turnovers.
And I don't.
Plus, he takes a ton of sacks too. So if you count sacks, that's a big deal.
But so does Russell Wilson. So I think that's a wash there. I think that's a wash there.
Okay.
I think Russell Wilson doesn't have a nutsack attached to his body, so he is not going to revenge game against it. They did me dirty. No, that motherfucker's thrown 4 picks in that game if he plays. So,
I don't think he's playing. I think it's Fields.
I think it's Fields as well.
Oh, it's Fields.
I agree. I agree. I think there's going to be some turnovers, but I'm still going Texans. Give me D'Amico Ryan's defense against a rookie. And if Anthony Richardson doesn't throw an absolute fucking dime piece to Alec Pierce on a 60-yard rope,
we're all going to riot.
We're not really talking too much about the Texans defense. Maybe not looking as good last week. Anthony Richardson was 9 of 19 passing.
If you take out his 3 50-yard passes, he was 6 of 16 for 41 yards.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Obviously, we can't do that in the grand scheme of things.
They still count, but other than that,
Caleb Williams
terrible.
Is not throwing 3 passes of 50 yards plus 1 for a 60-yard touchdown. That's just not happening. So I'm gonna lean Texans here. Again, both good options. Tyler, I think Burrow and Tua are the only ones in the league that don't know how to slide when you have 3 feet. Yeah, it's unfortunate what happened to Tua, obviously. He's a competitor. He wants to get more yardage. 1, know where the hell you are in the field. You had the first down by 4 yards. You're at the 10-yard line. It's not like you're trying to, truck through DeMar Hamlin to get into the end zone. You're down 21 points. Lost game. Game's over. It's done. Move on. Go to the next week. What are you doing? Like, what are we doing? Why? Again, it's horrible to talk about this in this situation because you want the best recovery. But he does this to himself. None of these concussions have been dirty hits. They have all been Tua doing this to himself. And I hope he does. I hope he never plays another down in the NFL for that reason, is because he can't get out of his own way.
Yep, same.
He needs to think about his health moving like later on in life. That's a routine play almost in the NFL. Like, it's a hard hit. It's a hard taken hit by the runner. But I would say 99% of NFL running backs or guys would, run that play, take that hit, and get back up. Maybe be a little woozy, but they would get back up and not immediately start curling their right wrist in a very clear concussion sign.
Every starting quarterback in the league should have slid in that situation.
And everyone probably would. And here's the thing. Maybe not a slide, but how about, I'm trying to think of a guy that does it consistently. Like, that dive. It's not exactly a slide, but it's just like a forward dive where you're still protecting yourself. It's not a full-on slide, but you're kind of just diving forward. But you're diving at the ground. You're not dropping your shoulder into the safety.
Trevor Lawrence does it.
Perfect, exactly, like in that situation. And now, it's still not the safest way to protect yourself, but it's much safer than trying to truck a safety who is in the league because he trucks you. We just don't do that. It doesn't make any sense. Sean, last question we got. Who would have thought we'd be getting this question? DK Metcalf or Greg Dortch, says Sean. And it's a real question because it's a good one.
It's
Nate.
a real question. I'm still going to go with DK. I know it's up against New England. I know their secondary looked pretty good last week, but it's DK Metcalf. I can't start Greg Dortch over DK Metcalf.
You could.
You could. I mean, it's
You
physically possible, right?
Yeah.
I can't recommend it. I can't recommend it this week.
Joel.
Yeah, if Dortch goes 5 for 47 and DK goes like 6 for 112 and 2 touchdowns, you're gonna want to shoot yourself. So yeah, you got to start DK.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, is Greg Dortch so freaking enticing. Let me tell you, Greg Dortch is super enticing. I don't know. I imagine I'm going to assume a lot of these questions will come from, the casual fantasy football player playing in your traditional 2 RB, 2 running back, 1 flex. So I'm imagining that your running back flex that you have is probably pretty confident in that. Man, I want to start Greg Dortch so badly. You have no idea how badly I want to start Greg Dortch. I'm a Patriots fan, and I think this team is horrible. But there's something inside me that saw them play last week, and I'm like, okay, there's something here that they may give teams fits. And they may give DK Metcalf some fits. DK has not played well against the Patriots in his career. Whole different regime, whole different everything. You're still going to start DK Metcalf, but I want it on the record that I would highly consider playing Greg Dortch. I want it on the record because no baby,
Yeah.
that is enticing. Sean does also ask for some waiver wire receiver pickups, if we have any that you can think of.
I can definitely find you some here. I just wrote a waiver wire article.
Jalen
earlier this
Naylor
week.
from Minnesota with Addison being out.
Naylor, I barely know.
Oh, man. I don't know. I have a hard time
Not
with
this
Naylor.
week. Not Naylor this
No,
week.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
as a general pickup because that Addison ankle injury could be worse than they're letting on. So I think he's the wide receiver 2 there for a couple weeks probably.
I mean, with Pook out, you could look at Tyler Johnson, Demarcus Robinson if
Tyler
they're
Johnson.
available. They were
Tyler
floating around
Johnson.
at about 14, 15, 16% ownership earlier in the week. If you're looking ahead to next week, if Devon Vale gets healthy, gets back on the field, man, he's just going to get 8 targets last week, caught all 8 of them.
Peppa.
Not deep passes. Everything was under 9 yards, but I mean, in PPR, he's a guy maybe look at grabbing and stashing here for the next couple of weeks.
If Yoshi's out there, Andre Yoshivas still could be a guy. 'Cause
Hey, he is. He's got to be most places.
He should be.
unless you're in a league with
No.
me, then I took him in the last round. So he's
Yeah.
not out there in any of my leagues. But wide receiver 2 in Cincy, they're going to be playing from behind. But yeah, there's a few right there. Justin asking, and I know this is an immediate yes. Should I trade Josh Jacobs and Isaiah Pacheco for Christian McCaffrey? I'm going to stop the question there.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm just going to stop the question there.
No, we don't have to go any farther.
Yeah, because I'll go further. It's
Yeah.
his handcuff plus David Montgomery.
Yep.
Dude, throw your computer out on the highway and let an 18-wheeler destroy it, smash. That's how fast I'm doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When McCaffrey comes back, he outscores Jacobs and Pacheco every week combined.
Yeah.
Smash.
And it's not
that
even
thing.
close. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Jacobs and Pacheco quite a bit. I'm probably higher on both than most, but I
You don't
still
like him more
easily
than
do this deal.
McCaffrey.
No, exactly.
No. So, Justin, if somebody's offering this to you, can I get an invite to your league next year? It's just a request. That's all I'm looking for. If you're offering this and somebody is trying to negotiate with you, props to you, dude. You're working it right now because like if you're a Christian McCaffrey owner, please don't panic this much. Please do not panic this much. This to me is a panic. If it was CMC and just Jordan Mason, maybe we could have a little bit of a conversation there on like longevity and things like that. But you throw in David Montgomery, he's the touchdown guy in Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a no-brainer right there. And that looks to be our last question. Gator says, smash the like and subscribe. 500 plus in the offseason. I think we're close to, like 50 and 100 just in week 1. so far. So we appreciate all of you, every single one of you that have been in here week after week joining us. I saw a lot of new faces this week. We greatly appreciate it. I see one more. Thoughts on Austin Eckler this week? Michael, I'll tell you, I'm starting him in one league. I don't know about you guys.
I'll start him.
Yeah.
Tempered expectations, but I'll start him.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go off, but I think a 10-point week isn't out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
He's clearly the receiving back there. It's a pretty split. I mean, Brian Robinson's the first 2 downs between the tackle guy, and Eckler's the 3rd down back. So he's startable.
I'm trying to find the league that I am starting him in, Michael, just to give you some comparison. So in one league I have him, I'm sitting him for Breece Hall and Ramondre Stevenson. I had James Cook, not playing him over any of those guys, of course, and that's your traditional 2 running backs, 1 flex. I am not playing him in a league where I have Breece, Kamara, Diggs, and Rashee Rice. I don't like that matchup anymore. I'm trying to find the one where I am starting him, and I think it might be this one. I am starting Austin Eckler over guys I have on my bench: Brandon Cooks, Rashid Shaheed, Brian Thomas, and Terry McLaurin. That just gives you a thought and a hint of who I'm starting him over. My other 2 running backs are Mixon and Stevenson. Obviously not playing him over those guys. My other receivers, Drake London, Devonta Smith. Just giving you an idea of where Eckler kind of sits for me. And, of course, we get all these ones coming in late. Marvin Harrison Jr., Jameson Williams. Nate.
J-Mo.
Could answer itself, but...
J-Mo.
Okay.
It's J-Mo.
Joel.
With the JMO injury, I'm starting MHJ. I'm nervous about JMO.
It could answer itself. I'm still going to go Marvin Harrison regardless. Again, week 1. I think somebody said earlier, passing was down in general across the NFL.
Yeah, it was.
There's no way they're going to keep Marvin Harrison like that. They're going to want to get him involved. Wide receivers are Adams, Rice, Ayuk, Devonta Smith. Running backs are CMC, Achane, Moss, Charbonnet, Jordan Mason. I think I should try and move a receiver to upgrade at running back. If you were to move a receiver, who would you move, Nate? I'm sorry.
Probably move Devonta. Probably try and move Devonta for something.
Joel.
Or Brandon Ayuk. I wouldn't mind. You could probably get a little bit more for Brandon Ayuk than you're going to get for Devonta Smith, because, I don't know, people got excited about the trade.
Yeah, I don't think I would move Ayuk yet until he does something. I think you'd be selling a little bit low.
That's a fair point. So probably Devonta Smith now then.
Yeah, either Devonta or Devontae, one of those 2.
I don't hate your running back situation. If you're only starting 2 every week, you're either going Achane and Jordan Mason or Achane and CMC. And yes, we know obviously Achane has injury history, which sucks. If you do want to upgrade, I would move Ayuk. The question does raise, what are you going to get for him after?
I don't think. I agree. I don't think his running backs are that bad that he needs to make a move.
No, they're really not. Unless you're looking to flex a running back.
Yeah, and that's fair. I would
look to those receivers. I mean, those guys are really good.
If you do want to move someone, I would move Ayuk. It'd be interesting to see what you could get for him after a not so great week. I would look to move Ayuk. And Michael, thanks, man. We appreciate it. Appreciate it, Caesar. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate all the questions as always. Again, we literally don't have a show without your questions. That's pretty simple and straightforward of how this works. For Nate, Joel, and myself, you can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. Good luck in your Week 2 matchups. You can see me on Wednesdays, NPI, and then I will be back here next week. Once again, start, sit, different day,